I currently serve as the Director of Business Development at a nonprofit fundraising consulting firm. Been at the company for 5 years now, but my first job out of Oberlin was actually at Oberlin in the development office.
Very cool. Maggie, you're up next on my screen.
Hi everyone, I'm Maggie. I use she, her, hers. I'm a 2020 grad, so just graduated in May. I'm currently in grad school at George Mason. We're online, so I'm actually back home in Binghamton, New York, where I'm nannying to save up some money to live in Virginia.
Nice. Lindsay, you're up next on my my screen here.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Bernhardt. I use she, her, and hers. I'm a graduate of 2016, and after I graduated, I went to Miami, back to where I am from, and I coached basketball for 2 years, and now I'm currently a third-year medical student at the University of Louisville.
Love it, love it. Cheyenne, you're up next on my screen.
Hi everyone, my name is Cheyenne. I am also a 2020 graduate with Maggie. I use she, her, hers. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and right now I'm applying to medical school, and I also have a job as a medical scribe at Emory University Hospital.
Very cool. Lillian, you're up next on my screen.
Hi everyone, I am a 2014 grad with Allison. After graduating, I spent a handful of years doing clinical research, both in the public health sphere and then also primarily in oncology research. I also spent a year playing basketball in France, and I just moved to Philadelphia about a month ago, and I am enrolled at the University of Pennsylvania in the School of Nursing, pursuing an accelerated degree here.
Awesome, thanks. Mandy, you're up next.
Hey everybody, I'm Mandy. I use she, her, hers. I graduated in 2009. I am a TV reporter in Cleveland. This is my 4th TV station. So I am loving life and close to Oberlin right now, which is really, really cool.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for taking some time for sure out of your Sunday to talk. And we're going to start with just some general questions. So we had recruits kind of submit some questions that they had. And so we'll kind of start with the big picture ones. And I'll just start with the middle of my screen. We'll go with you, Maggie, first. But let's have everybody kind of talk about like why Oberlin. Obviously, we come from all different parts of the country, study different things. But like what ultimately kind of came down to your decision to choose Oberlin, Maggie?
I would honestly say it's the cliche thing to say, but just like being able to play basketball and get a great education. On my visit, I loved the team. The team was awesome. I met everyone, which doesn't happen at all schools. I really got to know them, eat lunch with them. I was lucky enough to stay over, so like I really got to get to know them, and I knew they were the people I wanted to spend the next few years with.
That's awesome. Abby, what about you? Why Oberlin for you?
So aside from the fact that I'm a 7th generation Oberlin college student, I really liked the fact that I could play 2 different sports because I was on the track team as well. And then when like Maggie, I really liked my visit. The visit, I met everyone, and it was like everyone was super nice, and my specific host was like very, very easy to talk to, so that helped a lot too. But the team was just like gave a really good vibe, and I really liked the coach at the time too.
Awesome, thanks, Abby. What about you, Allison? Why Oberlin for you?
I actually knew Coach Carey from my time in Vermont. I grew up in Vermont, and he was the assistant women's basketball coach there at the time. So when he made a move out to Oberlin, he knew I was looking at small liberal arts colleges, and I grew up in Vermont, and I was just kind of ready to get out of New England. So sort of the stars aligned between me knowing the coach and Oberlin providing the strong liberal arts education I was looking for.
Sweet. And Lindsay, coming all the way from Miami, Florida, what brought you up to Ohio?
I'm going to piggyback on what Maggie said, and just being able to play basketball as well as get a good education. And honestly, I liked like a new environment, like coming from a big city to a small town. It felt really homey with the team, and everyone just got along, and that's what drew me to Oberlin.
Awesome. What about you, Mandy? What drew you to Oberlin?
Probably a lot of things. I'm originally from Chicago, so it felt like I could get far enough away from home, which was something that I really wanted to do. But I didn't feel like too far where I couldn't like jump in a car and get back to my family if something were to happen. You know, and just a cliche answer, like Maggie said, being able to play basketball, and I also play volleyball as well. So to be able to play sports that I loved and get a great education. The other thing that was really important for me, I visited a bunch of small liberal arts schools because I was gonna go that route. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. It was really important to me that Oberlin had like a very strong African-American like student presence. And there, in some of the schools that I visited, like Bates in Maine, oh my God, I was like terrified. Just sort of being from Chicago and like always seeing people who looked like me. It was really scary sort of not having that. And I knew at Oberlin, I would definitely be a minority, but it seemed like there was a very strong African-American student presence. And they also had a very strong African-American studies program, which I went on to double major in, which was really great. But just sort of having that and having people who look like me around the campus made me feel like really at home.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Lillian, what about you?
Kind of echoing what everybody said, I was definitely looking for a small liberal arts school with a really strong education. I played soccer and basketball, so having the ability to play both sports. I think I actually ended up visiting twice, only one overnight, and I had really great visits the whole time. I really felt like Coach Carey, who recruited me, really went above and beyond. And the one piece of advice that as an athlete I was given from my high school coaches was go where you feel most wanted. And I definitely got that sense from both him and from the team. And I also had I knew people in the grades above, both on the men's and women's basketball team. So I felt like I was really walking into a family. So definitely kind of echoing what everyone said.
Yeah, that's awesome. Shai, anything to add in terms of your journey?
I think everyone pretty much said it perfectly, just like the welcoming atmosphere of it all, especially on the team. I think also for me was when I actually had my overnight trip, I was able to sit in on some classes. And I think just like the small classes is what brought me there, because I came into college like knowing I wanted to do pre-med with that route. So just being able to see like enthusiastic professors all the time teaching and being able to develop that connection with them really, I think brought me there too, so.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Well, let's kind of hop into like all of you guys, like double majors, minors, concentrations. It's like ridiculous in terms of all the stuff that you guys studied. Can you, I guess, talk about the liberal arts and like what that environment was like academically, Lillian? I know you were a double major and a minor. Can you just talk about what it was like in terms of like the liberal arts experience at Oberlin?
Totally. So I double majored in biology and sociology. So I got to see the science side and the humanities side. I was pre-med, so I did all those hardcore science classes. I had a mix of big lectures and teeny tiny classes of 5 people, especially on the humanities side. I actually took 2 senior capstone classes, which were super heavy on the research base. And I think my favorite part about the liberal arts education, is how much diversity in my course load I got while hitting off all these different requirements for my majors. And then B, just being in a smaller school and being able to develop those relationships with my professors. To this day, I still talk to a lot of my professors. Every time I've come back to visit Oberlin, I've seen them for coffee. As a recent I just went through the application process and I had no issue contacting professors to help me out with recommendation letters or, read through my admissions letters to ask, like, does this look like a good essay? So I think really just the community, and the diversity of what you get from your professors, from your classes, from your classmates as well is really one of the coolest things about Oberlin.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Anything to add? Anybody got anything to add in terms of just like liberal arts?
I have, so I majored in computer science and I went into college being like, I am terrible with computers. Still am kind of terrible with computers, but I can code now. But I like had an advisor who I was going to do math and he just was like, this might be interesting and sort of like talked me into trying something new, which is, I think, a big thing in Oberlin. Like people are always like your professors and advisors are always trying to push you to try new topics and stuff, which was definitely like very helpful for me.
Yeah, Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I
I'll-
know going into STEM field. Sorry, go ahead, Allison.
I'll add something really quickly. And so
Yeah.
I was a politics major and a sociology minor, but two of my favorite courses at Oberlin were intro to art history, and then back of the envelope physics. So they're courses that I took to get my credits, but they were two courses that I loved, but really unrelated to what I was going into in the big picture.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the coolest thing about liberal arts, myself having that experience too. It's just, you get to take courses in so many different things. Anything else to add on liberal arts, anybody, in terms of like the academic environment at all? Awesome. And this is a general question, I think, from one of our recruits, and I think it's great. Like, what makes Oberlin special to you guys? And so, Mandy, if you want to start off, like, what makes Oberlin special to you?
Oh man, like
I know it's
so
tough
many
one,
things.
right?
So many things. Well, I sort of like the social justice aspect of Oberlin that like makes me really happy. I had never before sort of in high school or anything like that been really interested in social justice or being in a rally or a protest or anything like that. And like when I was in Oberlin, I was probably a part of like maybe 20 or 30 or something like that. And like that made me feel really like at home and like very connected to people. And I mean, we protested about everything. Like there was, if something was wrong, like we got the boards out and we were writing stuff in pen and we were out there. So that was sort of a really cool, unique aspect of Oberlin and actually sort of being listened to, whatever that was, whether it was a professor, somebody in like res ed or, whatever the situation was, people actually listened to us and cared about what we were saying. So that was really cool. I mean, and so many other things, like my best friends now are my teammates and I'm married to one of my teammates. So like, I mean, it's just, Oberlin has sort of afforded me all of these really special relationships. Not that I would tell anybody to marry your teammate, long story, but whatever. But Oberlin is just, it's super special and super unique in that way.
Yeah, I love that. Anything to add on
We
that?
had
Anybody?
we had a great question that just came in, just kind of speaking to those social justice initiatives. And specifically, the question was, what social justice initiatives has Oberlin been a part of? And kind of maybe talk about some of the topics. So I don't know if you want to go back to that, Mandy, in terms of maybe one or two of the things that you protested. But I mean, obviously, there's so many things going on in the world today that have been going on for such a long time and been more to the forefront. And I think Oberlin's history and what Oberlin has as a platform to, just try to push things forward in the right direction and try to be part of positive action. So if anybody wants to kind of, I guess, add into that or touch on that, that would be awesome right now.
I mean, I don't know if this is something for the folks who are a little bit more recent graduates, because obviously I graduated in 2009, which is over 10 years ago. But we did things for like Equal Pay Day, or I remember there was a protest for Latino workers. And honestly, it's so long ago, I don't even remember what the heck it was about. But it was sort of everything that was making national headlines, and we felt really connected to it. It was something that we stood up for, and yeah, I don't know if like more recent graduates want to talk about like sort of what you guys have done in the more recent future or present.
Mm-hmm. Jai, Maggie, 2020, hold it down.
I mean, I can add that while there definitely were protests and things that I participated in while on campus, but I will say Oberlin at least gave me the education and the foundation for believing in social justice and for being one to speak out on what I believe the truth is, and or not be afraid to post things on my social media that support Black Lives Matter or what have you. So I think that, to Mandy's point, maybe social justice wasn't my biggest focus in college, but it is now something that, because of where I went to college, I'm hyper aware of and participating in.
Love that. Yeah. Anything to add? Anybody else on that?
I only went to like one protest the whole time I was in college, but it was a Black Lives Matter one, which is pretty relevant for today. That was in like 2017, I think.
Awesome.
I was also, I'll jump in too, again, I was also a senior when Obama was first elected. So we did a lot of stuff, sort of rallying people to get out the vote, and also rallying folks like after he got elected. I mean, it was such a magical atmosphere where people just didn't really know what to do. So we all just sort of like ran out of our dorms and out of our houses and just start like cheering in the I don't even know what it's called, Tappan Square. And it was such a beautiful time. And like, you know, that was sort of the celebration. But before that, I mean, students were really getting together to figure out, okay, who needs to vote? How do we vote? How do we get people there? I mean, we were busing folks to voting locations so that they could do what they needed to do. So, I mean, not just like, you know, protesting and all that stuff. I mean, it was also voting, and that was really, really important. So, you know, Oberlin was all in for that. And there were so many different groups trying to get people to do what they needed to do. And we did it. I mean, Ohio's a swing state. That's an amazing place to sort of be, especially for us. That was most of our first times ever voting ever. So that was really, really cool to be able to do that in Ohio, and going to school in Ohio is a very cool chance to be able to make a real difference.
Yeah.
We actually have
Absolutely.
an initiative right now as well, like with the whole athletics department, just speaking and kind of talking about what Mandy just brought up in terms of our Yo Vote initiative, and trying to really try to get 100% of all eligible student athletes registered to vote. And it's exactly what Mandy said. I mean, it's across the campus. Obviously, there's a voter campus friendly initiative and coalition, and everybody's meeting with everybody. And it's a campus wide thing, but just in terms of, I think, athletics really trying to make sure that we do our part as well, and our teams seem just on board, our coaching staff is on board. So very, very important, and same as 4 years or 8 years ago, whenever that 12 years ago now, really. Yes, I can do my math.
Hey, we don't need to talk about it.
Right. Sorry, I didn't say that.
Let's switch gears here. And we had a really good question, like, what was the most difficult part about adjusting to college life for you personally? And so, Maggie, I think since you're a recent grad, like, what was the hardest part in terms of that adjustment to college?
I mean, one of the first things I remember, it's more basketball related, was I was used to my parents always being at my games.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's how other people feel. So it was kind of a weird feeling to know that they weren't going to be there, but luckily we have Go-Yo, so my parents watched every game live on the TV and would text me during the game. My brother would take videos of me making fun of me or cheering for me or whatever. So it was still a good feeling though.
Awesome. Anybody have anything else to add on that in terms of just adjustments to college life?
Geez, I feel like I'm talking so much. I'm really sorry. They
You're
paid
good,
me to
Andy.
talk though, so it's it's in my blood. So I was a first generation college student. I was the first kid in my family to go to school. And so when my parents dropped me off, I was a Bonner Scholar, so I got to school like a week early before like everybody was there. And so when my mom dropped me off and all my sisters, I cried and I cried and I cried for like half hour, I think. And it was really hard and really scary because none of my family had ever left home ever before, and nobody had ever gone to college. So that was really hard for me to adjust to. But the good thing about Oberlin are there are so many different programs, especially for first generation college students, especially for low income students, which I was as well, especially for minority students, which obviously I am as well. So they had all of these like things sort of set up for us and put in place for us really to not fail, because there are so many things working against students like me who don't have any experience doing college. But Oberlin was really awesome with that. There were certain departments that sort of took me and other people like me under their wing, and it turned out to be a much smoother transition than I thought.
Yeah, awesome. I know, Abby, you were coming off mute there for a second.
I don't want to follow that. I was just going to say that I ate too much my freshman year.
Shai, what about you? I know you came off mute there in terms of that.
I think I would have to say in terms of basketball, probably the structure. In high school, like my team is like we're pretty good, but our coaches like let us run wild. So like we just kind of like played off each other in high school. So coming to college and like having to know these plays and study the plays and knowing like other teams' personnel was new to me. And I think that, I don't know, I think that like that opportunity in basketball, just like having to learn like so many things help me kind of off the court too, if that makes sense. So just like trying to stuff my brain quickly with stuff and then apply it to my schoolwork. And then also just like being a point guard, having to know where everyone's supposed to be at, and just, yeah, being able to learn things quickly helped me a lot. And I think it came from basketball. So that's all I have to add.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Shai. Let's transition to like Lindsay. You scored top 10 scorer all time, right? Like in terms of obviously going to med school now, like talk to them. We had some questions come in about like balancing academics and athletics. And obviously you were extremely successful on the court. Like how'd you balance that going pre-med route, bio major, and also being so successful on the basketball court?
Well, Oberlin has a really great mentoring program for pre-meds. And so within my first semester there, I was already meeting with the counselor, and she was giving me advice on what classes to take and how to make my schedule, you know, like have some difficult classes, have some easier classes. Mm-hmm. And then just figuring it out along the way, honestly, with basketball. Like basketball does take up a lot of time, but you just figure it out.
Yeah. Awesome. Anybody have anything to add in terms of the balance? Shai, you do?
Yeah. I would also say that in addition to what Lindsay said, I think too, like my coaches throughout my time at Oberlin were very understanding that we were student athletes, you know, so none of my coaches was like have a heart attack that I was coming late from lab or anything like that. So I think that just kind of made the atmosphere like more comfortable and just like allowing me to thrive in academics, I think. And also just adding that professors like have like so many office hours times where you can meet with them, or like they'll schedule times where it might not fit in the time that they schedule, but they'll still meet with you to help you out. And I think it just, yeah, everyone at Oberlin just wants you to succeed, really. So
yeah. Awesome.
For me, I think actually being a student athlete helped me with my schoolwork, because you have to do your homework in the time that you're not doing your classes or your sports. So it like helps you structure your time really well. I definitely like on the off season would struggle a little bit more with prioritizing and like procrastination stuff, just because I didn't have the specific time when I needed to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
Just jumping off of what Abby just said, that's exactly what I was going to say. I did my best academically the semesters where I was either in both basketball and soccer season or just in one of the sports, and I was also working. When you have to balance school and sports, and, you know, you also want to make time for your friends, and you also maybe have to work, whatever it may be, like I was so much more organized when I actually had things going on, which is funny because that's what I'm figuring out through school again now. And we've had like a mix of live and recorded classes. And I realized like I have 5 classes now, as opposed to over the summer, I only had 3, and I'm doing a lot better now because my plate is so much fuller. And it was the same thing at Oberlin.
Also, just figuring out how to manage like school and sports is really helpful for the future, like grad school or whatever you're going to do in life. Just figuring out how to manage like multiple things.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think those are all really, really insightful. Let's kind of transition to more like specifically the academic side. I think I know we've touched on it for sure. But like Allison, I know we have someone who's interested in like pre-law. Was that something like as a politics major in sociology, was that a route that you were considering or anything like that at Oberlin? Okay.
No, I took more of an international relations route. I didn't have the full language requirement to have the international concentration, but mine was primarily around international relations and international politics.
Awesome. That's really, really cool. I guess kind of piggybacking off of that, how did Oberlin, I guess, set you up for the career that you're in right now? Obviously, you're at the director level, 6 years out, which is fantastic. I guess talk to me about how Oberlin, I guess, helped you set up in terms of that career.
Yeah, no, great question. I would say Oberlin gave me a few key things. One, writing ability. That's huge for your cover letters, intro letters. Also, in my current job, I do a lot of writing, so that I look back at all those politics, persuasive essays and things I had to write, really coming to shine through. The second is collegial debate, I'll put it. In those small classes, it was very important to be able to speak up, look at the text, provide your arguments when it's backed. And I feel like I use the same thing now in my current job as when, I'm trying to make a decision. Is I look at, what sort of data do we have in front of us? What is our historical or past? And Oberlin has sort of given me that critical thinking, both being able to assess what's in front of me, but then also articulate that back in order to use my argument or to move things forward. So I'd say those are some key things that have helped me.
Awesome. Love that. Let's talk about the Oberlin professors, right? So like, I mean, Mandy, you went to NYU after Oberlin. I mean, Lillian, you're at UPenn right now. I mean, Lindsay, you're in med school. Talk about like Oberlin professors. Is there anything that makes them different or stand out, I guess, to you guys at all?
I kind of already touched on how I've maintained a relationship with a lot of my professors. I think Cheyenne mentioned, like, professors have office hours, and that's one thing that you really want to utilize, whether it's just to build that connection and network, or if it's to actually get help with whatever the course is. I think that is one of the reasons I chose Oberlin, is because of the faculty to student ratio. I really like that. That was something that I really looked at when I was looking at schools, and my professors all knowing my name, my professors all not like, when I showed up for office hours or showed up to class, like they could actually say like, hey, Lillian, they wouldn't just be like, oh, you're my 2 o'clock or whatever. And I think like for me personally, that's really valuable for my education. I think I do better when I have that personal touch or that personal relationship with a professor. And that is something that Oberlin does really, really well.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, girl.
Okay. I agree 100% with that. And like, I would even invite my professors to our games, and they would come and then talk to me about the game, like at the next class. So that was really cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah, my professors honestly like felt like second parents to me, at least in the African American Studies department. So I was a double major in English and African American Studies. And my professors, I mean, I still keep in touch with mostly all of them till this day. And it's actually really cool that I'm back in the Cleveland area. So I get a text or I'll get a Facebook message from them or something. And they'll be like, I saw you on TV. Like, I'm so proud of you. Like, this is what you said you were going to do. And like, now you're doing it. And this is amazing and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, honestly, like I felt like my professors were like part of my family. And they definitely still are. More in the African American Studies department, because that department is like smaller, but for the English department as well. I mean, I still keep in touch with a lot of them too. And they just, I don't know, they just really care about you, and they really care about you succeeding, and they want to know what your goals are, and they want to help you reach those goals, which is something I kind of got in grad school from like one professor, but everybody else was just like, yeah, girl, you're in this place with like hundreds of other people. Like, we really don't care. So it's really nice to have that at Oberlin.
Definitely. I think, Manny, you touched on Cleveland. Like, let's give them the inside scoop, right? So Oberlin's small college town. They know that, obviously. Some restaurants, shops, different things like that. Tell them, I guess, a little bit about your guys' experience with Cleveland. Like, having that about 30 minutes away. Talk to these guys about the location and stuff. And do you guys go up to Cleveland? What is it like in terms of, the town of Oberlin and any interaction with Cleveland?
Well, when I was in Oberlin, Cleveland was not what it is today. So Cleveland's actually like real cool now. So Cleveland has like stuff. There's like restaurants, there's like a nightlife, there's all kinds of like beautiful scenery to see in Cleveland. Not that maybe it wasn't there, but like Cleveland has come up like tenfold since we got out of school. And we didn't care anyway that it wasn't that great, because we used to just pile in like one of our teammates' cars. Maybe there was like 10 of us from the girls. So unsafe, but it's all good. Like 10 of us from the women's team, 10 of us from the guys team, all in like somebody's car. We would all go up to Cleveland and like hang out there for the evening or, whatever. So it seems like a hike. It's probably about 30, 45 minutes away, depending on where you're going. But it is nice to have like a medium-sized city that you can sort of get out of Oberlin and like go do that for a little while. And it's like always a really good time. But now it's probably even better because Cleveland's actually cool now. So it's great.
Yeah. Awesome. Anybody else to add on that? Town of Oberlin, Shy, you got something?
Yeah, I think just building off of that, it was so nice to have Cleveland there, just because sometimes it just like felt like an escape. I just know like sometimes like me and my teammates or me and my friends will go to like NBA games because the Cleveland Cavaliers are right like 30 minutes away, or go to like concerts. Like I went to a Travis Scott concert once, but I mean, it's just nice, and just be able to just go out and eat and just, I don't know, just like not feel like a student every once in a while. It's always a good feeling.
Yeah. We don't have to talk about the Browns game today. Let's just not talk about that. I think they only scored like 6 points, but we'll just nix that. Awesome. Sorry, transitioning back to this like research opportunities. I know Maggie, you got involved with research, I think, in psych. What research opportunities does Oberlin have? I know they talk about in the science quad too, like so much lab space and everything like that. Talk about, I guess, research opportunities as an undergrad at Oberlin.
I think for me, it was a little different than it probably is for people in the sciences. So I did research in a developmental psych lab with a professor who I actually have like a really great relationship with, took a ton of his classes. Yeah, and we still talk. But yeah, so I just got to do research. I was a psych and sociology major. In the psych department, you have a choice to take an upper level class or do 2 semesters of research. So obviously I wanted to get a little research under my belt and check it out. And I know that at least for psych during the summer, sometimes most of the professors have labs going. So
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone has anything else to add.
Yeah, any other research that you guys did?
I did some research in the biology department, and basically it's a requirement to do research for medical school. So I think it's just like so much easier to get a position if you want one versus going to like a bigger state school. So that's really an advantage that Oberlin has.
Yeah.
Another thing, I didn't do this, but if you get like good grades in your major, you can do the honors stuff and graduate with honors. And that's like any major you can do. You make your own research project and conduct it throughout your senior year.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah. Awesome. Great. Well, let's transition into kind of the career questions I think that some of our recruits had. Let's start with Allison, I guess. How did your decision to go to Oberlin impact your career choice?
I'll say I'll follow an interesting path because I have my job today because of my first job out of Oberlin that I wouldn't have had unless I'd gone to Oberlin. So in that case, I have a very direct correlation where I worked in the Oberlin development office. I met the then president of the company during one of my interactions at Oberlin because they were counsel for Oberlin, and then I was recruited to this company I work at now. So I would say while going to Oberlin, I didn't actually, as I'll say, most people don't think about the philanthropic sector as a path for their life after college. I'm just going to do a quick plug, sorry. The philanthropic sector has tons of jobs open right now. We're actually at a point where we need, there are more vacancies than we have bodies to fill. So it's a great career path, even if it's just for short term or long term after graduating, just because it's a market that needs to be filled and we're looking for smart and educated people that are, ready to put their mission behind things, which I feel like a lot of Oberlin graduates are very mission driven and would love to work for a nonprofit, and just don't forget about that philanthropic sector as a side.
Yeah. That's awesome. Anybody else, I guess, internships that you did in summers at Oberlin, anything like that you guys did from an internship standpoint?
I didn't do any internships with Oberlin, but I've just through the pre-med director and the pre-med program, did internships outside of Oberlin. I know our past pre-med director was really close with the admissions committee people at Duke University School of Medicine. So I actually did a program there over the summer. So just having those different types of connections really helped me a lot too.
Yeah.
Which I loved.
Yeah, that's one thing I'll add is I had internships in my summers, not necessarily related to Oberlin, but it really gives you a chance to build your resume and get some experience. And it's even a good way to test out some fields depending on what you're looking for. So I would recommend trying to take advantage of those summer months as much as possible.
I did an internship before my senior year, and they literally, once I got there, they said, yes, we hired you because of your basketball. And it was obviously it was in computer science. It was a development job. And so, nothing to do with sports, but they were like, we know that student athletes have really good time management skills, have really good interpersonal skills, teamwork skills. So just having another sport, having a sport as well as a good academic school really helps employers look at you.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a job at Oberlin one year. I kind of got it because during my time, I tutored and mentored at the local school district. So I basically did like a little summer camp thing through the Bonner Center with the kids. It was really fun, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't at Oberlin.
Yeah. Awesome. You mind describing what I know you're a Bonner Scholar, Mandy, what the Bonner Center is and their, I guess, role at Oberlin?
Oh, sure. So, so I was a Bonner Scholar. Basically what it is they look for students who were into doing community service in high school. So it's actually something that I graduated so long ago. I don't know how it works anymore, but how it used to work was you sort of applied for the Bonner program, like after you decided, hey, I'm going to Oberlin. And so what you do is you do 10 hours of community service per week, and you actually get paid for that community service that you're doing through the Bonner program. And so the way that I remember it, it was more for like low income, first generation minority students. It might be different now, but it was sort of a way for students who had already done community service in college and who really loved it and had a passion for it could sort of continue to do it for free, but also like get paid from it, because I mean, if you're first generation low income student, you can't really do anything for free. Like you have to like work a job. So the Bonner program was sort of a way to do that. And they did all kinds of stuff within the Oberlin community, just outside of Oberlin. I mean, it was a really cool way to not just go to school, but also learn your surrounding community. So I did all kinds of stuff. I worked with the Boys and Girls Club. I worked with, tutored and mentored some of the kids at the local high school, just like all kinds of different stuff I got to do that I wouldn't have been able to do through the Bonner program, because I still had like jobs. I had like 4 jobs. That's a whole nother story.
Wow.
But I was still able to do that and like get paid for it, which was really cool. So yeah, so apply for that if you guys decide to go to Oberlin. That's a really cool program.
I think all the community service, or not all of it, but a lot of community service goes through the Bonner Center though. So that's different from the Bonner program. But like I had work study, so I would do community service and it would help pay for my tuition through the Bonner Center.
That's awesome. Okay. Cool. Like kind of piggybacking off of that, like what things did you guys get involved in, right? We have people who are multiple sport athletes, obviously, and that probably took up a lot of your time. And obviously it's rigorous academics at Oberlin, but what other things did you get involved in outside of just, sports and the academic side at Oberlin? What opportunities were there for you all? If anyone wants to take that one.
I can go on that. So I was really involved in the athletics department. One thing, I was a SAC rep, so a student athlete. I don't remember what it stands for.
Advisory council?
Advisory committee, thank you. I was a SAC rep, so I represented the women's basketball team all 4 years of college. Allison might have been a SAC rep with me at one point. I don't know. I did it for 4 years, and I always had somebody else on the team. But so I was really involved with helping the athletics department do more things for the student athlete community. But then also in my role, I was trying to bridge the gap between the student athlete community and just the overall athlete or student community. So when we would put on events, there was a lot of like trying to get the rest of the Oberlin community involved in it. And then the other thing that I did also through the athletics department was I did, it was kind of like an internship mentorship program called the Branch Rickey Mentorship Program, which I think is NCAC specific. And I don't know that it actually still exists. It might, but it was for women and for people of color. But the whole point of it was to give exposure to women and people of color to what it is to work in athletics at the higher ed or professional level. So I was paired up with Craig Yantz, who is the assistant athletic director, and we spent the entire year working on different projects. And again, my focus, he asked me like, what did I want to focus on? And I said, I wanted to focus on community outreach. And by that, I meant Lorain County is one of the poorer counties of Ohio. And in my head, Oberlin College is such an amazing resource to all of the surrounding cities. Why can't we bridge that gap and help those communities who don't have all the resources they need get more? And so we put on a number of different events, fundraisers, and stuff like that. And again, that was purely through being a student athlete at Oberlin that I was afforded that opportunity.
It's amazing. Awesome. Anybody else? Other things?
I can also just add, I was also a Branch Rickey Scholar, and I thought it was a very useful and informative spending of time, and you get sort of an inside view into athletics, which was interesting. I also was an RA and a VA during my time. So my sophomore through senior year, I worked through in res ed. So that would, I'll admit, being an RA had a lot of perks, which I appreciate, like getting to pick your own housing. But it also gave me an opportunity to meet a bunch of new people that I probably wouldn't have met in my own like classes or circles, because you're automatically paired with additional like other RAs in a group. And then with my time, my junior and senior year, I was a village assistant. So that means like it's an RA, but for senior housing.
Mm-hmm.
And I also was able to work part-time in the residential office, which gave me some good like office experience, just in general, phone management and work, general things that you could put to use pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I also tutored, like Maggie was saying, in the Oberlin public schools. And then I also did something called Fraction Club, which is just trying to like bring fun into math for kids. But it was cool to be able to get sort of like involved in the Oberlin community outside of the college, because they're really close together, but there isn't a whole lot of interaction all the time. So I really liked that.
Yeah.
I also think one of the unique things about Oberlin is that like really you can like just start your own stuff really. So for example, I am a co-founder of the Black Student Athlete Group, which is just a group for Black student athletes to come together for a sense of community, but also advocate on behalf of other Black student athletes. So I, just being me, my personality, I'm really passionate about like POC and just everything Black really. So that was one good thing to have. And I'm also I was on the board of the Howard Hughes Medical Science Institute Student Leadership Committee. Sorry, it's a long name. But that group is just like centered around advocating for underrepresented minorities in STEM, to focus on those types of issues and the problems that may arise with being a minority in STEM. So just like really Oberlin allowed you to like go after things that you're passionate about and just create groups and create your own community that you really seek to have.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Anybody have anything else to add on extracurricular activities? All right, awesome. Let's talk a little bit about study abroad. I know, Allison, you studied abroad for a little bit. What opportunities, I guess, were there in terms of that?
Good question. I would say being a women's basketball player, it's hard to study abroad because it's one of the seasons that goes over both semesters. Mm-hmm. So you really have to weigh your decision, make sure you talk to your coach, and make sure you're making the right decision for yourself as well as your team, and just taking a lot of different angles into perspective. I will say I had an amazing semester abroad. I went to Prague. I went to a number of European countries, and my now best friend in Minneapolis was my roommate in Prague. So overall, it was a extremely rewarding experience while I was there, but it's also given me like a lifelong friendship, which has been important. And I don't regret going at all. It was tough leaving the team. I followed, all the games online and tried to stay in touch with people, but it was this decision that I really wanted to make. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity is the way I see it. And it was an important decision that I made, and I'm glad I did make it.
Awesome.
Another thing, since it is over both, the only thing that basketball doesn't cover is the summer. I was an au pair in Austria over one summer, and that gave me sort of the opportunity to go abroad, but I didn't miss any basketball, which I thought was really, that was really important to me, was not missing basketball. So if you want, you can find some summer program, or you can go like be an au pair, which was really cool, but I love kids. So if you don't, then
What I will say after of Abby is that was my intention. I did a summer in Africa and I volunteered, and then I got the travel bug, and I was like, I need to go more places. So that was my original intention. I was like, if I go in the summer, then that I can keep the full season. So just another item to add.
Yeah. Awesome. So we got some people that are interested in the medical field and even STEM as well, like in general. So I guess, Shai, you can touch on this. Abby, Lindsay, like how did Oberlin, prepare you guys for med school going into, software developer? Abby, like how did Oberlin, I guess, in terms of those career fields prepare you? Do you feel like it was a great fit for that?
I do. Like, I mean, I think so for sciences, I know Oberlin's really good, but honestly, like Oberlin's academics are so good, just like broadly in general. I definitely felt prepared, and it really helped to be able to like go to office hours, like Lillian was saying, or like just talk to your professors and have that relationship, because then you like feel comfortable asking questions.
Anything to add, Shai, Lindsay, on the med school? Cheyenne just crushed the MCAT a couple weeks ago, maybe even a month ago. I don't know, time flies, but just took the MCAT. Anything else to add?
I think so, like just what Lindsay said earlier, just about with the, I think Lindsay said that, or yeah, just so with the pre-med, like directors and everyone helping you schedule your class and such things like that. I think also for me was like the pre-med director and also other professors were also just very helpful with me in the process. Like, you know, pre-med is not, I don't even know how to word it, but pre-med is kind of like a stressful thing to go through. So just having support is always good to have. So I think that was like a big thing that I got from Oberlin faculty and staff. Just the constant love and support that they showed definitely helped me push forward and push through the rough times, you know?
I would say, I think I said it earlier, but figuring out how to manage your time is probably one of the most important things going into med school, and figuring out how to manage basketball as well as school. I would probably say that no one is actually prepared to go into med school. Like within the first week, you know, they tell you like everyone's going to fail something at some point, and it's true. And figuring out how to bounce back, you know, like in basketball, like losing a game and bouncing back. So I think it really goes like hand in hand.
I'll also add, just from the academic standpoint, I double majored bio and sociology, and like I've ended up in a career in medicine as well. I think that having the sociology major was actually incredibly helpful. From a science perspective, obviously the science and the biology, physiology, anatomy, all that stuff is crucial, but also in the field of medicine, being able to interact with a human being and knowing that human side of the interaction is equally as important. And the point I'm trying to just make is that being at Oberlin and being able to follow pre-med while also majoring in a degree like sociology was super helpful in all of my other aspects of like my medical career.
I love that. Awesome. And then I know we got some people here on the attendees as well that are interested in business. So does anybody feel, you know, I have my own perspective. I was an econ psych at a liberal arts. We won't talk about that school. I was econ and psych, and I went into the business field for 4 years, and I just felt like liberal arts gave me such a great background, and I didn't have like the business major or anything like that. I think it just made me such a well-rounded person ready for business. So I don't know, anybody have any perspective on like just going into business out of Oberlin?
I can say, yeah, I'll take this one at least to start, but anyone can obviously feel free to weigh in too. I would say that, you know, I took some econ classes and those are extremely helpful. One thing that I will say that it seems to be more and more important, and I'll be honest, I'm not up to date on Oberlin's current curriculum, but making sure that you either take like a stats class or a data literacy class, it's so important that you're able to, you know, review data, actually understand it, and then repeat it back in a concise way. We're trying to like build an executive summary out of lots of data. I find that to be extremely important in a role. And when I'm interviewing, if someone says they love to dive into the numbers, that's usually something that I see as a huge positive. So making sure that you feel comfortable with that. The other thing I will say is interpersonal skills is very important. Just a quick side story, I guess, is my cousin just graduated. She has this huge online personality, and she's a sweet human being and very smart, but she's really struggles like with their interpersonal and interviewing skills. So if you know that you might fall in that category, making sure that's something that you're working on and making sure you're speaking up in classes and just getting that confidence to share your voice.
Awesome, yeah. All right, anything else to add on that end? All right, cool. Let's get a little bit to the basketball side of things. All right, like this is probably for Shai and Maggie. Obviously, you guys were the first two to play, you know, for Coach Dunmeyer, the GOAT, and then obviously I was coaching a little bit too. But I guess give them an inside scoop on what it's like to play for Coach Dunmeyer, the basketball team this year, and I guess this first year with the Dunmeyer era. Any inside scoop for them? Maggie, start us off.
Okay. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a switch up, your senior year, hearing you're getting a new coach. Um, but I mean, she was perfect. Can't say I would want anyone else. So yeah, that was really nice. She stressed relationships a little bit more than our previous coach, which I think is super important. Building relationships with the team and like everyone being a family. We had a lot of fun. Obviously, we had some serious times too. Yeah, it was great.
Awesome.
I think just also to build off that, I think like my last season, especially with Coach Dunny and Coach Mel, was my best one yet. I think what Maggie said, it was just so fun. And, the atmosphere was like great. It was like, we're going to get to work, but we're also going to have fun doing it and become a family in the process. I also think that just when you have like two coaches that like pour so much like love and support into you, it really makes all the difference. Like especially like, for example, if I was struggling, they always like back me up, be like, reinforce some things that maybe if I didn't have confidence in myself, I knew they always had confidence in me. So I think that was one of the major things that I really enjoyed. And I'm so glad I got to experience that.
Yeah, love it. Mandy, I know you talked about like relationships with your teammates. I guess what has the program meant to you? I mean, looking back, 09 grad, like talk to them, I guess, about like some of your favorite memories and like what it's meant to be a part of the Oberlin basketball program.
I mean, Oberlin basketball was everything to me. It was, coming in, being recruited freshman year and having, I believe our freshman team had 7 people on our team. So we got very acquainted with each other very quickly. But just over the years, like sort of having that team to come back to over and over. And and we still call each other sisters. I mean, we are sisters. There are 14 of us that keep in touch, and I mean like keep in touch. And this is since 2009 and 2010 and 2011 when all of us graduated. But we are sisters, and that's how it was on the court. That's how it was off the court. We played together, we partied together, we studied together. We did absolutely everything together, and we are on totally different parts of the country right now, but we still have a group text message. We still meet each other once a year somewhere. We started at Oberlin where we would come back for homecoming every year, but now we're all getting older and we're getting married and we're having babies and like all this stuff. So it's like, okay, well, we're going to meet at this person's wedding this year, and next year we're going to meet at this person's baby shower, and we keep in contact with each other constantly. And there is not a week that goes by that I don't talk to my sisters. And so Oberlin basketball has been absolutely everything to me, and I wouldn't change a second of it till we were freshmen with 7 people on our team till my senior year when there's probably about 15 or 16 of us. It was a wild ride, and it was so much fun, and I would not change any of it for the world.
I don't know how you follow that up. That was amazing, Mandy. I mean, but Abby, Maggie, Shy, like you guys do have maybe like, you want to show them what's up, like what it's like, what we need some of them to come here for to get?
Okay, I left mine upstairs. I'll be right back. Is that okay? Is it okay, or should I just
Go for it, Shy. Go for it, Shy. You got to get the trifecta, yeah. But yeah, Abby, Maggie, I mean, you want to talk about that, your experience and some of the memories you guys have from that?
Take it away, Abby.
I don't I had a really good experience in that I felt like each year I was there, we were building and we got better each year. Like my freshman year, we came in and it was sort of the first year that I felt like from what I've heard, that the program was like actually pretty strong. We had a winning record. And then from there, just like it kept getting better. And then my senior year, we won the championship, the conference championship, which was like really, I mean, that was like my biggest goal through college. So it was really cool to have that happen.
Yeah. Best way to go out. Got to be the best way to go out. Coach Delmar did it too. You got your ring, Coach, somewhere? No, nowhere. You lost it?
We didn't get rings.
What? Coach Delmar also won an NCAA.
26-2 my freshman year, and we didn't get a ring. It was like the first time Kenyon ever beat Wittenberg at the time. I'm not bitter. I'm just saying.
Anybody else? Any basketball memories, different things that you want to touch on about the basketball program, I guess, at all?
I'll say Lindsay, Allison, and I played on teams that we just had like freak amounts of injuries where there might have been 10 or 12 people on our roster, but at a given time, there was usually only 6 of us. So anytime anybody asks me what position I played in college, I say I played 1 through 5 because I had to play 1 through 5. So, you know, that was an interesting part of the experience. But I mean, I kind of echo what everybody else is saying. Lindsay, Allison, and I were definitely part of the really building era of Oberlin. We had more buzzer beater games or last play, last second shot games than I care to count, because it's so frustrating yet also so inspiring to be like, okay, we are so close. We are so close to just getting over that hump. And so, you know, to like graduate and look back to the years that they all won, it's cool to see that that's what the program had. There was building, and then, you know, you got the dream of winning, and it's still building, and it's really fun to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think that's the perfect thing. Like, you guys were part of like on the ground floor, and then they won a conference championship. I think that even ties into like our vision, right? Like, we won a conference championship before, but how do we get to that point where we're consistently competing with DePauw, with whoever's at the top 3, so that we're doing that every year, competing for a championship, and then bringing it up to the point where like Oberlin's at that national level, right? So that's kind of even ties into our vision. So I know we're getting close to time here. Any words of wisdom for these people who are going through the recruiting process, right? Some of them have narrowed it down, right? They got a handful of schools. Some of them still have, 10 schools. I guess any words of wisdom throughout the recruiting process, anything else about Oberlin, I guess, that you guys have for these recruits? Yeah, go for it.
I'll say one thing. I went early decision to Oberlin, and it was a great decision because I knew immediately where I was going. I didn't have to stress through the year. I was confident that I wanted to go to Oberlin. And it made my application process much less stressful. That it keeps some of my peers at the time or friends at the time that were going through like the multi-school decision. And I think if you're willing to go early decision, that shows a lot to the coach that you're ready to commit and come to the school. And then hopefully, things work out. But if you have the opportunity, I don't actually even know what time schedules work like anymore. It's only September. Highly recommend it if that is an opportunity.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Allison. Anything else? Last words of wisdom. Abby, you got some?
Make a list of the things that are important to you, because looking at a lot of colleges can be really overwhelming. But if you break it down and be like, okay, these are the things I'm looking for, it really can help narrow it down to like just a couple schools. Because there are definitely ones that can fit everything you want, but not all of them will.
Mm-hmm.
The recruiting process right now is probably a lot different than any of us have experienced. They're probably not able to go to campus, things like that. So I would just say, like, go where it feels right. Go where you could see yourself. Look up not only the academic programs and talk to all the people on the basketball team, but really think about like where you're going to spend your time at Oberlin and like who you're going to spend your time with, and can you really see yourself fitting in somewhere, because that is really incredibly important. And ask tons of questions, talk a lot, and yeah, everybody at Oberlin is like really awesome and really willing to help people out. So like use all of that stuff, because times are just super weird right now. Obviously this is all being done on a Zoom call, which would never ever happen. So just use your resources and pick a place where you can really see and feel yourself being for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I think also piggybacking off of that, and the importance of like using your resources, I would say don't be afraid to like reach out to, especially the coaches, Coach Denny, Coach Mel. But even for me too, if anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm always willing to talk to anyone about my experience. So just, like if you're unsure, maybe just reach out to someone that you might identify with, or someone who can provide you with the information that you need. I'm sure everyone from Oberlin is willing to help give you that information. So just make use of that, I would say.
Yeah, I echo Cheyenne. If anybody wants to reach out, you're welcome to get my information from the coaches. And just one thing to consider is also like outside of basketball, what does the school have to offer, and where do you see yourself fitting in that world too? Like with basketball, you're coming into a family, you're coming into a community that's already going to be there. There's student athlete population that's already there for you. What other interests do you have outside of athletics, and can Oberlin give that to you is another one to think about.
Absolutely. Lindsay, Maggie, anything? It's getting darker there, Lindsay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in soon. But I loved Oberlin. I think you can tell like everyone here loved Oberlin and all our experiences. And I think that shows a lot about that.
Oh, I would say that 100%. Like when we asked like alums to do this and like the way that you guys just were like, yeah, absolutely. Like I think that speaks volumes. And, you know, obviously Cheyenne and Maggie had experience playing for us, but even, you know, for those that didn't have, you know, weren't here, like that just speaks volumes about Oberlin, I think. Maggie, any parting words? Oh, sorry. Go.
I was about
What?
to say, some of us have played against you.
It's true. It's true. We had some good battles, that's for sure. But like, I am Oberlin all the way now. My heart is with Oberlin.
I would just say the same as.
Sorry. Coach Mo threw away all of her purple. We wouldn't let her keep any of it.
I really don't. I really don't have much purple left. Honestly.
You too, Dunny.
I know. I don't have. Hey, I had thrown away a lot of it before. I was, yeah. So
She's
anyway.
claiming she doesn't have a ring. She threw it away.
Right. If I'd had a ring, I would have kept the ring.
I would just say same thing as Cheyenne and Lillian, where like, if you need anyone to talk to about the process, absolutely get my information from the coaches. Also, when you do get here, put in the work because it's worth it.
I love it. Yes, awesome.
Yeah, and we know it's challenging, as Mandy kind of touched on, and we've talked to obviously all of our recruits in the age of COVID-19 and how things are looking. You know, I think what we're missing is that overnight visit experience and being able to have people come and spend time with the team. And, you know, I think it makes the fit really, really obvious, and, you know, it helps close the deal a lot. And we are doing very limited campus tours, but, you know, it is much different. So trying to create as much virtual interaction, and we just are so thankful to all of our attendees tonight. And I know we've got to send the recording out as well to everybody, and we'll send it just in case you guys want to watch it again for those of you that are on here. And just a huge thank you to all of our alums and our panelists. I mean, this was amazing. As Coach said, we just appreciate your time so much and all of your perspective, you know, in terms of your experience here and your willingness to help out and be a resource for the student athletes that are exploring and looking at all the different options. I think it is so much about the people. So, you know, getting to know you guys and everything is a huge part of that, just the Oberlin family that they would be coming into. So thank you for that. Coach Mo, just killing it as the moderator. I mean,
Thanks.
I don't know, like if, you know, coaching doesn't work out, but it's going to, but like, I'm just saying, like, if there's another role where you could just like be a moderator all the time, like
Let's just switch it up. Yeah.
So, if anybody else, any last words of wisdom, Coach, I'm going to let you close it since you haven't. And
Abby's got something.
One thing that I just thought of, but Oberlin has winter term, which is just like in January. It's just a month where you do a project and you don't have classes. And that was my favorite part of every single year, because it is just like basketball all the time. And you're just hanging out with your team and playing basketball. It is so much fun. I love it so much. That is like, you only need that reason. Go to Oberlin.
Agreed. I can't believe that didn't come up yet. I echo that 1,000%. Best time of the year.
Agree also.
And we also got money to like eat out and stuff. So that was also good.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. You guys are seriously the best. Like we can't thank you guys enough for your time and taking time out of your Sunday, right, to talk with everybody. So we'll definitely let you know if anybody follows up and wants to reach out and have any type of conversations. But you guys are the best. Thank you so much. Coach Demar, anything else I'm missing?
I think we're good. Yeah. And then also for our panelists, you know, please let us know, reach out if there's ways that we can better this that you think. And for all of our attendees, you know, if there's something we missed still, or ways that we could make this better in the future, in terms of interaction with our alums and putting these together, we would love to hear it. So,
yep.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.